Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Kendall and thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be going over my first quarterly anticipated releases. So basically I'm going to put out 4 of these videos this year. This month will be one of them, and I will probably put out another in April. So I'm going to be going over the books that I'm most excited to buy, purchase, read, whatever I happen to do in the months of January, February, and March, and then again the next time. So I'm going to do 3 months at a time. These are all books that are coming out this year. Some of these I have already bought. It is kind of late. I am getting this out late. It is... I haven't posted a video in a while. I kind of went on a little hiatus, but it's just been a busy January recovering from the holidays, starting back school. I went on a trip to meet some of my bookish besties, so it's been a lot going on, and I've just tried to like settle down and get ready to film and edit and all of that good stuff. So I'm back. Thank goodness. So hopefully I can get through these pretty quickly. There's not a ton coming out at the beginning of the year that I'm like dying to get to, and these are the ones that I'm actually dying to get to and think that I will actually read before the end of this year is up, or I know I'll read them next year if I don't get to them this year, those kind of books. So I'm going to go ahead and get into this and we'll see how many I'm ready for. Before we start this video, I did want to show you guys some book sleeves that my friend Rachel over at Happy Go Lovely Reads on YouTube and Happy Go Lovely Sleeves on Instagram makes. She makes the best book sleeves. I literally have so many and my collection is just growing. I have one in every size and I am missing one that I have no idea where I put it. But that is like the mid-size and I don't know what I've done with it. It's probably somewhere in my house with a book in it, and I will find it probably later on today. But I wanted to give a shout out to her because she's been putting in so much work. She recently had a Valentine's Day collection come out and I just ordered one because, as you guys know, Jessie over at Reading with Jess and a bunch of other girls are hosting the X's and O's readathon in February, and it's just going to be the perfect sleeve to use for pictures, for your reading, and everything else. So I'm going to brag on her for just a minute. She has book sleeves in all different sizes. These are just some of the ones that I have acquired. I've recently got into cozy mysteries, and so I went ahead and picked out 2 different ones. There's this one that's a Taylor Swift collection, and it's with the red scarf that says All Too Well. And then this one is just kind of like a yellow leafy floral pattern sleeve, but they both will fit a cozy mystery. You can fit like 1 or 2 mangas in here. I've already tried. And I think most like kids paperbacks will fit in this as well. So if you read middle grade or mangas or cozy mysteries, these are the perfect sleeves to pick up if you know, need something to protect your books. And like I said, she has mid sizes that will fit most paperbacks and smaller hardcovers. Those you can also fit multiple mangas in and multiple graphic novels. I've done that myself. You can even fit graphic novels and manga together in them, which again I have done. And she has really cute designs to pick out from as well. These are all the maxi sizes, so these will fit almost any hardback possible. And all paperbacks, and you can fit like multiple paperbacks in these as well. And she even has a pocket in the front, so when you put your book in, you'll have a pocket where you could put a cozy mystery if you want to carry 2 books at one time. You can put your Kindle in there if you want to have a place to store it, or you can put tabs and pens and pencils. Anything that you use to annotate your books with will fit in that pocket, and it's just the most convenient thing ever. But she has some cute designs. I love this plaid, like orange and blue. She has one for Halloween that had little ghosties on it. She had one for Christmas that was Star Wars, and it has like a stormtrooper, Yoda, an Ewok. What else do we have on here? C-3PO, Chewbacca, Darth Vader. And recently she put out a new collection, which these are so soft. And this one has like little mice on it eating little strawberries, and there's flowers. But they're super, super cute. And a lot of times with her collections, she will put out these bookmarks that go with it. And they are little cozy corners. Are they not the cutest thing ever? So instead of like using a bookmark, or like, I know a lot of people like magnetic bookmarks, but sometimes those tear the pages. All you have to do is slide the page, like slide this on the page, and it holds your place, and it matches your book sleeve. So I just think these are the cutest things ever. They are seriously, like, I'm not just bragging because she's my friend. I only trust these book sleeves now because she has these so well like designed and so well protected that they protect your books for real, and they're hard to like harm these in any way, and you can wash them really easily, and it's just like the perfect thing if you take your books everywhere you go, or you take a book with you everywhere you go and you just want something to protect those, or if you just want something cute to hold your book in, because that's me. But I just wanted to give her a shout out because she seriously has been putting in the work for those, and they are all just so beautiful. And if you guys want, I'm going to leave it linked down below, but I have a code and it's Kindle 20, and it will get you 20% off of your order, and you can use that. And yeah, so now we're actually going to get into the video. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get into January. Like I've said, some of these have already come out. I have personally bought some of these that have come out, but we're still going to get into it anyway because there are a few in later January that I'm excited for that have yet to been released. So the first book that I'm excited for has already come out, and surprisingly enough, I have not purchased this one. I think I'm waiting for reviews on it more than anything else, and that is The Stolen Heir by Holly Black. This book came out on January 3rd, and it is part of her new duology that she's writing. I'm very excited about this one because we're traveling back to the world of Elle fame, where Carden and Jude from the Cruel Prince series lived, and this is following Oak, which, if you don't know, was Jude's stepbrother, her 6-year-old little stepbrother. And I can only picture him as a 6-year-old now, but he's fully grown now. And we're traveling back, and we're going to follow Oak as he takes his journey in Elle fame. And I have heard there are like a little bit of Jude and Carden cameos in this, so I honestly think that's part of the reason I'm so excited to get to it. Another book that also came out on January 3rd that I'm very excited for is The House in the Pines by Anna Reyes, or Reyes. I don't know exactly how you say your name. This is part of the Reese's Book Club picks, and everybody has kind of off and on opinions about Reese's Book Club picks, but the ones that I've personally read have been amazing for me. I know I read Daisy Jones and the Six, The Last Thing He Told Me, and what was another one? Where the Crawdads Sing. So I've read 3 of those from her, and are from her picks, and they've all been great books for me, and I've enjoyed them thoroughly. So this one I am gravitating towards, and I think that I will really like it. It is a thriller, and it sounds like a very interesting concept that's going to play with your mind and your memory, and trying to remember things that have happened to you that are traumatic in your past. And yeah, that's all I need. I haven't bought this one yet because I have a goal for myself this year to try and use my library more. So I think that I'm going to try and pick this book up from the library and see if I like it. And if I do, I'll probably end up purchasing it down the road. In this book, we're following Maya, who witnessed a murder of one of her friends. I think she was murdered by a guy that they had spent a long time with, or like a whole summer with. And she's kind of blocked out that summer. You know, it's years down the road, and she has an addiction of some kind. I don't know if it's an alcohol addiction or a drug addiction, but she is struggling. But that's how she copes with being able to move on with her life and kind of just forget everything that happened. But then one day, funnily enough, she discovers on YouTube this, well, it's not really funny, but she discovers on YouTube that this girl just falls over and dies in this restaurant, and she sees the man that killed her friend in the restaurant in the video, and she kind of sets out to find out what's going on. Who is this man? She's trying to backtrack into the woods where her friend was murdered. She's just trying to like connect the dots in her mind basically, and recollect her thoughts and just try and remember what the heck happened. And so I feel like this one's going to be a very mind-bending, mind-twisting thriller, and I hope that and I hope that we get the story in the perspective of Maya, because I want to be just as confused as she is. The next book was released on January 10th, and it is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett. This is the first book in a series, and it is so pretty. I already went out and bought it. It looks gorgeous. I'm so excited to read it. And literally all I know about this is that there are fairies and a curmudgeon professor, and that's literally all I need to know. Everybody knows, I think, that I read Legends and Lattes, which was my first cozy fantasy ever, and now it has me craving and wanting more. And I feel like Emily Wilde's is gonna be the exact thing that I need and want out of a cozy fantasy. I know a lot of my friends have picked this up, and I hope that I get to buddy read with one of them, because I just feel like I'm gonna fall in love with this story, and I just am not gonna be able to wait until the next book comes out. The next book I have also purchased, and that is Phaedra by Laura Shepperson. It came out on January 10th, and this is a Greek mythology story following Phaedra. I think most people know I read Ariadne by Jennifer Saint, and this was one of the first mythology books in adult fiction that I've really enjoyed and loved. I gave Circe a try by Madeline Miller, but it really wasn't my thing, but this one was amazing. I absolutely loved it, and this was from Ariadne's perspective in her and Phaedra's story. So I'm very excited to kind of get Phaedra's perspective on that. I remember buddy reading this with my friend Elizabeth over at Ponytails and Paperbacks, and we both fell in love with it, and I remember both of us talking about how cool it would be to read from her sister Phaedra's perspective, and I'm hoping that that's exactly what Laura Shepperson is going to give me in this book. The next book also came out on January 10th, and it is Small World by Laura Zigman. She wrote Separation Anxiety, which is a book that I've always had my eye on, but I never read, and this one just looks so good, and I feel like I will relate to the storyline so much. So this is following two sisters who have grown up, and they are both recently divorced. I think maybe one is recently divorced, but they're both divorced, and they're deciding to move back in together as adults, and they are going to be dealing with a lot of like childhood things that maybe traumatized them, or that they went through together, or that brought them joy, just a bunch of different things, and basically just facing their childhood together. And both of the sisters thought that their relationship was going to grow and be stronger. Their relationship is actually starting to fall apart, and they had a sister who was disabled, and she ended up dying at probably an earlier age. It was during their childhood. So she ended up dying, and neither one of them have really coped with that or talked to each other about it. And I think that is part of the reason that their relationship is so broken. So this book is all about facing your past and trying to build a future off of that. And I think it's going to deal with some sensitive issues, but it also says that it has some humor mixed in with it, and so I just think this is going to be a hard-hitting, or like a book that hits home for me, and I am seriously very excited for it. A book that literally just came out is How to Sell a Haunted House by Grady Hendrix. This came out on January 17th, and I've already bought it, started it, I'm more than halfway through it, and I am loving it. I have never kind of gotten along or felt so seen by an author in my life. I just completely feel like he's writing about my family. There are dolls, there are weird things in here, like weird supernatural things happening that did not happen with me, but it just feels like I connect with the main character, and I understand where she comes from and what she has dealt with her family. And so this book scares me, but it also makes me feel seen, which I don't know how to handle, but Grady Hendrix definitely knew what he was doing with this one. Another book that I'm very excited for came out also on this January 17th, and it's What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. This is an adult horror book by Kate Alice Marshall. Last year I read my first book by her, and it was Rules for Vanishing. I almost forgot the title. And it was so creepy and good, and that was a young adult. And I've heard that this one is so much more creepier and scary, and people have just been eating this book up, so I cannot wait to get more into her writing and see if I like like her. Another book that I'm very excited for that comes out on the 24th is the Minuscule Mansion of Myra Malone. I had to make sure I didn't mess that up because that's a hard title to say. This is by Audrey Burges, I believe is how you say her name, and I believe this is a standalone. From what I gathered, this is kind of like a mix of a few different genres. It's kind of fiction, romancy, fantasy, magical realism type things, and just mystery. So it has a bunch of things all in one, which make me love it even more. Plus the cover is teal and gold, and that's always a favorite thing of mine, so you know I'm gonna go out and buy it anyway. So Myra lives in an attic of a house or of a mansion. She writes blogs about this like doll-sized houses and different rooms and stuff in this dollhouse, I believe. It's a very confusing concept, but it just makes me very interested. And the rooms have a different effect on her because they disappear, they reappear, they make noises, and just a bunch of different weird things going on. So across like the entire country, there's this guy named Alex, and he sees people building these rooms or making these rooms that Myra is describing, and he recognizes these rooms, and they are from a mansion that his grandma who disappeared left his family. So it kind of brings Myra and Alex together in a very confusing sort of way, and so they're gonna have to discover some things about each other and about themselves by themselves. So it just sounds like a really cute, interesting, and very confusing story. And the last book of January that I'm so excited for that I don't even think is a shock is Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun by Elle Cosimano. This is the third book in the Finlay Donovan series. I read the first and the second book last year. Absolutely loved them, and will be picking this up as soon as it comes out to dive into it. I've heard that this one goes back to kind of the roots of the first Finlay Donovan book, where you get a lot more of the chaos and the hectic, you know, craziness that comes with Finlay's life. And so I'm excited to see that, but I also hope that we get a little bit more of Finlay and Nick, or Finlay and her love interest, whoever she chooses, and I'm very excited for it. I'm so excited. I love Finlay Donovan. It's one of my favorite series ever. It's like a cozy mystery meets romance meets fiction. It's just so good, and I cannot stop recommending it to people. Alright, moving on to the next month. Here are the books that I'm excited for that come out in February. The first one comes out on February 7th, and it is Stone Blind by Natalie Haynes. I'm gonna tell you guys a little bit. Natalie Haynes has written a lot of mythology books. She wrote 1,000 Ships, which I still need to get to. She wrote The Children of Jocasta. She wrote A Comical Guide to Ancient Greece and Rome, which is a series. She wrote Pandora's Jar, and she has helped with introductions in the Iliad and different things like that. But I don't really have much to say about this. It's just going to be a Medusa type of retelling, and I love anything that has to do with Medusa, so bring it on. This next one also comes out on the 7th, and it is Wildblood by Lauren Blackwood. This book just gives me kind of like creepy, eerie vibes, and I'm here for it. To me, it kind of reminds me of Wilder Girls meets Annihilation, and I read the Annihilation book and it did not give me the good vibes. Like, I did not like it at all, but I feel like this book is going to give me what I wanted out of Annihilation, if that makes sense. So Victoria is what they call a Wildblood, and she basically can use magic, and so she gets basically kidnapped from this exotic jungle experience thing, and they take her in, and she is part of this group that uses magic to protect people who are touring these jungles, and they protect them from like monsters that are inside the jungle. Why would you do that to yourself? Not Victoria, the people touring the jungles. So Victoria is really wanting this promotion where she gets to accompany a gold miner who is going to go deep into the forest of Jamaica to discover like treasures and different things like that. And of course, in order for Victoria to get a promotion, she has to go through her ex, who is horrible, obviously. And so anyway, she ends up being able to go on this mission, and she's getting deep into the woods and discovering new monsters and different things, and trying to, you know, keep building up her magic, but also remaining herself. and it just sounds so good to me. Honestly, cannot wait. And the last book in February that I'm excited for comes out on the 21st, and it is The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz, I believe is how you say your name. I feel like I say that in every video. This is supposed to be like a psychological suspense novel, and it's about, we're following this writer who is going into the woods, why you would, I don't know, in the wintertime, again, bad decision, to write, and it kind of turns into a nightmare. Not gonna lie. So Alex has tried getting her books out there and tried getting published, but she never has any luck until she gets an opportunity to go on this month-long writing retreat at this like esteemed author's estate. Why do people do this? Is it because I've watched enough horror movies to know that you shouldn't do things like this? Or is that just common knowledge? So anyway, this author basically had more people come as well. And so Alex is having to compete against these people because the author tells them that they have a month to write an entire novel, and whoever writes the best one gets this like seven figure money deal and publishing deal. And that's a big deal. So many deals. So stuff starts happening, obviously. Alex doesn't feel like herself. The author the estate that they're at, she's lost her freaking mind. There's this other guy there who is just weird. And then somebody goes missing, of course. But let me just read you what it says about this novel that has probably enticed me more than anything else. It says, a claustrophobic and propulsive thriller exploring the dark side of friendships and fame, The Writing Retreat is the unput-downable debut novel from a compelling new talent. Sold. Absolutely sold. So I only have like a few in February that I'm excited for, but that's okay. We're going to move on to March. So I don't know when this book was originally supposed to come out, but it got bumped up to March, which I'm personally thankful for. It comes out on the 7th of March, and it is The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. I have yet to read anything by Sarah Penner. I do have The Lost Apothecary somewhere over there, and I am going to try and get to that before March so that I will be ready and kind of know what her writing style is. I know that this book takes place in the 1800s, and it is following some women in Paris, but the cover is just gorgeous and calls to me, and that's literally the only reason that I'm picking it up. I'm not gonna lie. I have very low self-control. I do know that there is a murder that happens, and the Seance Society is a group full of women that are going to try and solve this murder and this mystery of what's going on. So a crack team led by women is going to solve a mystery, and that has me ready. This next book also has a gorgeous cover and also comes out on the 7th of March, and it is Clotta Menestra. It is written by Costanza Casati? I'm not sure. I'm terrible with names, but I think it's Costanza Casati. And the cover, gorgeous. We already know I'm entering my mythology phase this year. I'm going to expand my mythology phase is basically what we're doing, and I'm going to try and read more. So the story of Clotta Menestra is basically she's like this bad villainess, and she turns into a queen, and you know, she's like one of the most notorious women villains in mythology, Greek mythology that is, and so I'm excited to see what is done with her story. Again, we're getting like some retellings in here, so if you know the premise of the story, you're probably going to know what happens throughout the book, but I just love the feel of reading a story so well written that I can't put it down even if I know what's going to happen. A book that comes out on February 14th that I'm very excited for is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. It is by Jessie Q. Sutanto, who wrote the Dial A for Auntie series, and this one looks so cute. This is about a lonely older shopkeeper who stays to herself, but she is going to solve a murder mystery in the best way possible. So Vera lives above her tea shop, and she basically doesn't do much. I mean, she stays to herself, she drinks her tea, and she checks up on her son a lot, but she goes down to her tea shop one day and there's a dead person in there. I would freak the heck out and get out of there, but that's just me. But Vera Wong sees a mystery to solve, and that's what I love about her. So I am very excited. I feel like this book is going to have a lot of good banter between different characters, especially coming from Vera. I feel like this book is going to give me Finlay Donovan vibes, and what else do I need? Another book that comes out on the 14th is a book called Flower Heart. This one is written by Catherine Bakewell. I thought this book was going to be a graphic novel, and a few of my other friends thought so as well, but it says that it's 352 pages, and it doesn't list it as being a graphic novel at all, so I don't know. I know that this is kind of like a cottagecore, fantasy, romancy type of book, and that just sounds so cute. I think what really got me on this book was the cover, and that it says that if you're fans of Margaret Rogerson, who wrote A Sorcery of Thorns and An Enchantment of Ravens and Vespertine, that you will love this book, so sign me up. So Clara has this magic where she can grow flowers and beautiful things, but then something happens where she accidentally grows poisonous flowers in her father's chest. I don't know how that happened, but it did. And she has to figure out how to perform the perfect spell to get it to go away and not kill him. And the only person that can help her is this boy named Xavier. And she has known Xavier from childhood. They used to be best friends, and he was just like the cute, sweet, funny boy next door type person. But now he's kind of like a loner, not bad boy, but like just loner, doesn't really talk to anybody, and just kind of keeps to himself and keeps his own secrets. He just doesn't, you know, deal with a lot of people. He sounds like me. But he offers to help Clara, but he tells her, like, apparently he makes a deal with her, and she has to do the most horrible thing. I don't know what it is, but I think we're gonna find out, and it's probably going to be horrible, and there's probably gonna be some love blooming between Xavier and Clara at some point, but we will see what happens with these two. And the last book in March comes out on March 28th, and it is A House with Good Bones by T. Kingfisher. Now, I have yet to read a T. Kingfisher book. I do own A Wizard's Guide to Defensive Baking, but that one is a little bit different than the horror stories he obviously writes. That one is more middle grade fantasy, and so I want to get into the horror stories because I just have heard good things about them. And then I've also heard some mixed things about them, and I think it depends on what book you pick up. But this one just caught my eye the second I saw that it was coming out. And this one is supposed to be like a Southern Gothic horror story that takes place around a family that may just not be right in the heads, or just may not be right altogether. I don't really know. So you're following your main character, Sam, and Sam comes home to spend time with family and discovers that family isn't exactly what it used to be. The mother of this family is not warm and inviting anymore. She jumps at every noise. She's always like watching over her back. And then Sam discovers a jar of teeth. That's all I know. All I know is a jar of teeth is found, and there are vultures everywhere, and it gets creepy real quick. So I'll be excited to see what kind of book this has, like what kind of story this book has in store for me. But those are all the books that I'm very excited to get to in the first quarter of this year. I'm very excited. You'll have to let me know down in the comments below if there were any that I mentioned that you're excited for, or any especially that I missed out on that I might not know about. Leave them down below and I will make sure to look them up and probably add them to my list. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.